Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler, and thank you very much for joining us wherever you are. We appreciate it because we are here every single weekday bringing you tech conversations and talking about different things. And right now, we are going to be talking about something very important. And I've got Aedan Macdonald, who's the founder and program manager for Justice Through Code at Columbia University. And Aedan, thank you very much for joining us here. Really appreciate it. Excited to talk about this topic. It seems very important. And I wondered if you could give us kind of a little bit of a background on what this is and what drove you to found this organization.
Yeah, first off, thanks so much for having me. Really excited to be here. So Justice Through Code is a coding intensive that we have at Columbia University, where we teach the fundamentals of programming in Python, as well as interpersonal skills to formerly incarcerated individuals. I founded the program and now manage it shortly after actually returning from federal prison. Was released and kind of was facing so many different challenges with employment, just so hard to get a job with a criminal background, and actually started my work at Columbia and was really looking at the different ways that we could solve some of these issues. And I had previously taken a coding boot camp through General Assembly years before, and I felt like in many ways, programming has the ability to be this great equalizer because it's something that anybody with a computer and the right resources can learn. And the tech industry is receptive to hiring this population. And so we started to work on creating a program at Columbia.
I think that's something that unfortunately gets overlooked by a lot of people. Are some of the challenges for formerly incarcerated people, like you said, finding employment and finding a job and battling some of that. So this is certainly a great reason to start this organization. Now, when you, I guess what I want to ask is how this works. So somebody who is, and using the proper terms, a returning citizen, returning into society, they come to you and they're like, hey, I want to learn code. How do they go about this?
Yeah, so the program actually, we teach a curriculum that's currently taught to Columbia MBA students. So there's a course at Columbia Business School called Intro to Programming in Python. And this course is taught by Professor Matan Griffel, who's actually a two-time Y Combinator alum and a adjunct faculty member at Columbia Business School. So we developed the curriculum kind of off of that class, as well as added different interpersonal skills training as well. So we do a storytelling workshop. They have Columbia MBA students that work with our students on resume prep, cover letters, interviewing, and really career planning. And then afterwards, we have a mentorship program where we actually have different employees from Google and Slack that work with our students on additional kind of projects, career development, and really looking at their career journey.
Is this something where someone could come in with little to no experience in coding and kind of start from a base level, or is it better to have some kind of a knowledge to start with?
Actually, interestingly enough, we assume no prior programming experience at the start of our course. I think definitely familiarity with the computer and level of comfort with typing is an important thing to kind of start in the program. But we really designed everything kind of assuming that this is really what we see as a gateway course. So it's really kind of introductory, giving not only an overview of the skills, but also the different career options within the technology industry. So we have different guest speakers throughout this. The managing director of Techstars, Jenny Fielding, come in and talk to our students. Google X, who's actually a former Columbia MBA student. We really look at kind of providing an overview of the different options and then working with our students afterwards on achieving the career goals that they set for themselves.
So what's the feedback been like so far from both, I guess, your students that you've had? I mean, this program's clearly running very well, but the feedback from the students and feedback from some of these companies that you're working with to maybe place some of your students in employment opportunities?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been incredible to see for our students, especially, I think one of the great things about having a program like this at Columbia and also some of the companies that we're working with is there's this messaging constantly when you come home that your life is over. The best that you can hope for is kind of a minimum wage job. You'll never be able to earn a living wage. And I think throughout the course of our program, we really see these increases in feelings of self-efficacy and kind of really a redefining of the self and what's possible for our students and their futures, and especially for their families and communities. And so I think the feedback from students has been incredible. It's definitely, just been a very rewarding experience for everybody working on the program. I tell this story often. One of our students, when he was first admitted into the program, we give everybody a Columbia email address. And the first email that he sent was to his mother, who had stood by his side during his incarceration, and just the power that gave her, and then the rest of his family. And I think that this is kind of an overlooked thing, in that during incarceration, one of the kind of moving experiences for me was being in the visiting room, because I think you see there that everybody that's incarcerated is a brother, a sister, a mother, a father. And then incarceration doesn't just impact the individual who's incarcerated. It's really their families and communities. And so I think that that's been incredibly impactful. And also in terms of the companies that we work with, I think they've also been very moved by our students' stories and their drive. One of the interesting things that we've been able to kind of look at is on our learning management platform that we use, we can see kind of how much time our students spend in the material. And seeing that compared to the amount of time that Columbia MBA students spend on the same course has really been an exciting thing to see how engaged our students are.
That's fantastic. What's next for the program? Now it's here, and I guess I have a couple of questions with that. What's next, and then how can people also get involved with what you're doing right now?
Yeah, what's next? I mean, I think just continuing to challenge the negative stereotypes of the formerly incarcerated, and to really see our students now go into these technology companies and serve as leaders, as the potential for increasing pathways for formerly incarcerated individuals, and just as a larger kind of underrepresented groups. I think it's really difficult to have the conversation about systemic racism in our society without looking at mass incarceration. I think it's very telling that in our most recent application round, only 5% of our applicants are white. And I think that really represents how mass incarceration disproportionately affects communities of color. So I think, and also to speak to that, I think it'd be impossible to look at kind of my journey. I would not be where I am today if I did not have support and resources. And I think that this is something that we're very invested in the program, and really providing those resources and opportunities. I'm lucky enough to have a support network, but I think that that's something that quite a few of our students have come up to me since the class and said, or shouldn't say come up because we're in a virtual world, but have spoken to me since the class and said, I didn't realize what it was like to have a support network. I didn't realize what it was like to think through these things. We had a student that we introduced him to some Columbia MBA students, as I mentioned, to kind of workshop these different things, and he had a very short response to the email, which was kind of a standard business email. And I think a lot of times we don't realize that these things that we've done so many times over and over, at the end of the day, they're learned skills. And we need to support each other in kind of teaching these skills and extending these resources. So I think it's continuing to do this work, and also engage with corporations in having a discussion about what does it mean to really do this difficult work, and make a commitment to it, and not just make a one-time commitment, but really a long-term commitment to affecting change in our society.
Wow, Aedan, that's some incredibly powerful stuff, and obviously you're doing some very good work here to help that out. For people who want to learn more, where should I send them?
I would say definitely feel free to reach out to us. Contact us through our social channels, go to our website. We have a mailing list that we're going to be starting, actually, because there's been such incredible interest. We'll be starting a regular mailer to formerly incarcerated individuals that are interested in getting involved. We're also going to be engaging people within the technology industry to really share their stories and resources and provide guidance to our students and kind of the larger community. Yeah, so definitely, please reach out. And we'll be having a webinar soon that we'll be announcing, or actually a series of webinars with Columbia Business School called Charting a Path Forward, to really begin to have larger discussions with corporations about how they can become engaged in this work.
Aedan, thank you so much for being here to share this with us here on Digital Trends Live today. I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Pleasure to be here. I really appreciate it.